People who asked for a pencil every single day in school. How is life going for you? I'd love to give you the long version, but my phone's about to die. Can I borrow your charger? My collection is nearly complete. So, my best friend did this. We are both adults with jobs now. I asked him the other day if he remembers a pen, and he said his coworkers had gotten together to give him a humongous pen stand stuffed with pens to stop him from asking. I had a friend in high school that could never remember or keep a lighter. For Christmas one year we got her dozens of lighters. A cigar box cartoonishly overflowing with them. She ran out in early March or so. I became a nurse. Now I ask for pens instead of pencils, and other nurses hunt me down if I take their pen. Now they're asking for phone chargers. As a teacher, those kids always have a charger they try to plug in as soon as they get to class. Pen? Pencil? Paper? Frick that. But they better charge their phone so they can try to watch Netflix in class. I have a sewer in my office that is full of pens, pencils, markers, highlighters, low-temp Sharpies, etc. etc. Anyone can access it that needs one. I also have a secret drawer that only I can access. I can't imagine being so desperate for a pencil I'd be willing to take one out of the sewer. So back in grade 3 by the middle of the year, every classmate in my class of around 28 of us was asking for a pencil every other day or 3 because they would randomly go missing. Fast forward a bit and our teacher was making us do the bi-monthly desk cleaning. As we empty out our desks of books and forgotten assignments, a nearby classmate sets their pencil case on top of their desk with a large thud dot. Some of us look and gaze upon a pencil case like no other. Now, this pencil case was your standard 6x 10-inch rectangle, but it was packed so full of pencils that it was a solid cylinder. We started making a scene, and the teacher came over to see what was amiss. What followed was the emptying of the pencil case in which the whole class rediscovered their pencils from the past few months. Frickin' Michael, hoarding everyone's pencils. I knew a guy in high school that would say, "Oh, there's my pencil," anytime he'd see a pencil that someone didn't actively have next to them. Then he'd put it in his pencil case and go on with his life. Very few people caught on because he was just so casual about it. I'd ask to borrow a pencil almost any time I saw him do it, and he'd just as casually take one out, hand it to me and say, "Don't forget to give it back." I never did. We both knew what the other was up to, but we found it funny to play along. We became best friends and cycled across Canada for charity together a few years ago. Really well. Now that I'm an adult in control of my environment and a budget, I can keep a small drawer on my desk that's dedicated to stationary utensils that work. I've also learned that supplies aren't expensive or hard to get, when I used to assume that people who were fully stocked had some sort of special access to things like teachers, same for things from the pharmacy, like band-aids and batteries and eye drops. So now I'm the person with the odd thing you need when you don't know you need it. And it feels good, man. I chose to study computer science. Losing a laptop is much harder than losing a pencil. I work in it. At least 3 times a week someone comes to borrow a laptop because they forgot theirs. It's slowed down a bit now that everyone is working from home and a replacement takes a week. I will write it down if you give me a pencil. The pencil mafia wants me to pay up, they have my family, send help. I'm okay. Still disorganized AF, but I've learned to maintain stashes of pens, paper and other necessities in every single bag, pocket or drawer that I own. Some of which I have even bought myself. I was that kid. I had friends tell me, "My dad says I can't lend you a pen ever again." Teachers would sometimes out me to the class for being irresponsible. None of it worked, I was dumb and not wired for planning ahead. I also used to carry my books, jacket, lunchbox and backpack separately in a rush to the car bus next period. Now I'm a trial attorney and fortunate to be busy, but man, that was a long road. I fear my future kids. I fear my future kids. Although this is a great premise for a Netflix original, you probably mean I fear for my future kids. Nah, he's just scared of his potential offspring and how many pencils they'll steal from him. It's going pretty good, really. Still ask for a pen most days and even return it sometimes, so I guess I've grown as a person. Same. I am a software engineer and I still ask my co-workers for a pen when I need to write something down. With the pencils I have collected throughout the years, I have amassed enough to trade them for a house. I have just finished construction of my house. Made entirely of HBS and 2BS. Now I'm a special ed teacher. Teaching kids who lose their pencil 15x a day how to remember their pencils. Is this karma? Mom to a special ed kid. I just put like 5 or more pencils in his pencil pouch every night, so he never will be without one. He loses on average 3 a day. I figure some other kid finds them and uses them, so it's charity work if you think about it. Bless you for stimulating the floor pencil economy. I'm currently trying to figure out how to be responsible enough to be independent. I married someone who always had spare pens. We find each other. Once knew a kid who went through her entire schooling life without owning any exercise books or a pencil case. She used to ask for a spare piece of paper and a pen every lesson. She's also one of the smartest people I know and still managed to dux our year in most of her classes. To this day I still don't know how she managed that and where she kept all the information we learned in class. It's insane. Turned out okay somehow. Thanks for asking. I'm a carpenter now. And I still forget my pencil some days. I asked for a pencil very often. I grew up very poor and I could never ask my parents for something like pens or pencils. School was hard. I was kicked out freshman year for bad grades, sent to continuation, kicked out of continuation, and then continued adult education. Life was tough. I now work for Circuit Department of Corrections and I make plus 100K a year. My kids will always have what they need and some extra for others. I absolutely hated having to lend my pencils out and never get them back. I grew up poor, so it wasn't easy to furnish those to begin with. Eventually, I would only buy 2 mechanical pencils at the beginning of the year and leave one at home and carry one in my backpack with me. That way when someone asked if they could borrow a pencil, I could say no and not feel guilty. Are you me? One time my mom bought me a Hecko Kitty ink pen. I was so proud of that thing and some kid took it, and I was so afraid that when I went to get it back and they said it was theirs that the teacher would believe them. I was a terribly shy and anxious kid, but luckily had some pretty decent classmates that made the boy give it back to me. I embarrassed so easily back then any confrontation would make me cry. Also very poor too growing up. My parents tried to scrimp and save to get me nice things, so I wasn't made fun of in school, and I was always hyper aware of that. In my schools, the kids that did this were usually poor, dysfunctional, abusive homes, in a shelter, or part of the foster care system. They were also typically the ones asking others for their lunch scraps, a quarter, loose leaf paper. Many of them didn't graduate high school. I always think about those kids. I also sympathize with those that have emotional, mental, or learning disorders. Anxiety and language delays are heavy in my family. I started buying all types of cuter character pencils for my kids. As well as buying Ticonderoga pencils by the box and would place tons of them everywhere in the house and in their backpacks and lockers. I was one of these. Specifically the not-so-great home life ones. By high school I figured out how to hide my book bag so my sister couldn't take stuff out of it. I only got regular lunches when I got an after-school job. Mom refused to give me lunch money because one time I went without lunch for a week to buy a book I wanted. Anyways, I'm pretty okay now. Married, have a house, a dog, trying to organically 3D print a person. I have started treating my depression and anxiety. Now I'm just trying to figure out healthy ways to take to people about what upsets me. I'm a stripper. I couldn't even remember to bring a pencil to school. I obviously wasn't cut out for a life that required a lot of responsibility. I'm an independent contractor, so I can show up to work whenever I want and don't have to remember a schedule, plus I can get drunk at work. No responsibilities. Perfect. I guess it's fine if you forget your clothes too. But then she won't be able to strip. Nah, she just borrows the clothes the other strippers have taken off already. I'm an accountant, thank God all the work is on the computer now. Elementary school teacher. No, I won't lend you a pen because you won't always be able to rely on others for these things. My boss on my first day. Here's the supply closet. Just let Gail know if something starts to run low so she can order more.